Hi, I'm Kevin. This is my dad, Mark, and this is a 1973 MG Midget owned by my Uncle Ron. Follow us as we try and get it back to a running, driving vehicle.
MG's in the garage. We're taking a look at it tonight, trying to get a better understanding of what we did to that clutch.
I want to cut right here, right? Actually, I want to cut it so I can turn this whole thing, so cut it right here maybe. And then we just try to loosen this up. If we can move that, that's great, but cut that right there or so. So what I'm going to do is make a fitting there. But in the meantime, I want to try and get the battery off.
First thing we want to do is test if the clutch master cylinder has any pressure at all.
All right. Yeah, I mean, the fluid's coming out.
With your finger on it.
Yeah, it oozed past my finger.
Yeah, okay.
I want to get you under here to get a look at the clutch slave cylinder. It's incredibly rusty and it's pretty wet under here, which is probably where our leak comes from. You can see it's the clevis pin and the push rod is very rusty, which is not good at all. Here's another look at it. That should be able to go in and out, but you see how wet it is under there, so that's got to be where all our fluid went. And oh, we got mouse nests everywhere. So I don't know how I'm going to get all that stuff out of the bell housing because there's no access point. Okay, I didn't film myself while working this time, but did want to catch you up on what I did today. So this brought to the hardware store, brought to the auto parts store, everywhere. Nobody has this. It's a 5/16 with a 1/4 line with a 20 thread. And that's just too old for today's world. So no one stocks anything like that. This is kind of curious. I've never seen a lug nut break in half, but I took off the passenger side front tire and I had a broken lug. This was in the frame, some type of a shim. I don't know what. But let's catch you up. So the biggest news, well, I took the hood off. That's kind of a big news. But the bigger news is while I was down on my knees swearing at the freaking bolts, I'm seeing midget. Can you believe it? So we thought this was an MGB, but it's got the flat nose. And so you can tell by the way that it is, this is a midget, which explains why I can't get my hand in anything at all. I have no chance of doing that. So I got in here today and I broke free the line, went kind of easy. So that one, I've ordered a new line. The line is interesting. It comes up through here, and where else would you put it but under the heater box? So for some reason, they have the line come up and it goes under the heater box. Not behind it, not in front of it, underneath it. And if you can see, these bolts are not bolts, but they are screws. And there is no way I'm getting that heater box up off of that. And there's also, I can't show it to you, but there's a clamp on this side that holds the line on that is under the heater box. So I'm hoping that I could just go around the front with the new line that I've ordered. technically it should be the same distance. So the other day, that clutch line came in, got it on eBay. It was cheaper in total, but still very expensive for a piece of copper tubing and a couple of fittings. But instead of buying the tool and running into a patch between the two and having to buy different fittings, which I couldn't find anywhere, this is the better solution. Came in and wrapped up, so I straightened it out as best I could. I estimated how long it was. I thought it was 55 inches. It is from end to end pretty much, but it's about 53.5 to each between each bolt. So where you put the 7/16 inch on, I think that's enough to do some rerouting because I don't want to go under the heater box again. But I just thought I'd show you this step of straightening it out because it's 20 something degrees today and I don't think I want to go in the garage. I put that new line that I purchased, the one we broke, back on. And I don't know if you can see it here or not. Let's see if I can shine a light in there. Connected to that end and fed it up through here. And I ran around the front. I know they're gonna freak out if you're an MG person, right? But this is a better design than under the heater core. So I put it around the front. And then if you come around this side, it comes back around and it comes out where the old one went. And it goes underneath and into the master cylinder. I'm hoping the master cylinder is good and the slave is the one that's broken. It doesn't seem, there's all rust down there. It doesn't really seem to be leaking at all. So I'm hoping that the master is good and the slave is bad. We have to address that slave cylinder first. But I'm going to need to get it up in the air because I just don't fit under this car at all. And those jack stands are exactly where I want to lay. So let's get this car further up in the air, at least 2-3 inches more. I got the slave cylinder off. That top bolt, of course, touches the body and is longer. So to put it back in, I've got to remember to put the bolt in the cylinder before I try and put it back up in there. But I don't know how I'm going to remember that. But more importantly, look at this. The fork, which seems to be working from the other side, doesn't have any resistance on it. So I'm thinking the clutch plate is frozen in place. Plus I've got mouse droppings everywhere. So it's probably packed full of mouse droppings. Thought I'd show you this before I try to clean it up. Gotta give this some more thought. After I took the slave cylinder off, the throwout bearing, the fork was just flopping loose, and I crawled in and got to go through that inspection port after I got the mice nest out, and I see that it's just a metal cup. And I'll have Kevin try to insert an image here from Moss.com and show you what it should look like. There should be a pad on it, just like a brake pad, so it can make the friction against the pressure plate, and that is obviously missing. That's gone. That's why there's so much play in it. That's why it's flopping around. And even if I was to buy a slave cylinder, it wouldn't be able to push it in. So there's just too much space now without that little pad, and it would just chew up the clutch in no time, not using a pad. So we've got to pull the motor, which is the decision point we're at. But what a little beautiful car. Solid. It's in good shape. Engine's in good shape. It's all about that clutch to make it running. Let me just talk to you about that a little bit before I put it away.
here's a diagram of the clutch, the whole kit that we might need to buy. Hopefully, maybe we can just buy the part number 3, which is just the throttle bearing, but it's very possible that if it's worn or cracked, we're going to have a bad clutch as well. But no matter what, we've got to pull the engine, and it sounds like from the MG boards that you can pull the engine and train it together, or just the engine, which is what I'm kind of hoping for. But I've got to figure out a way to get to all the bolts. This car is really, really tiny. So I've got to find a way to get to the bolts, or figure out a way to get smaller hands and arms. But next step, pull the motor, see what's going on inside that bell housing, and determine how bad or how good we have it.